Jimmy Cliff was an amazing singer, songwriter, and actor from Jamaica. He was a true pioneer, which means he was one of the first people to help reggae music become famous all around the world. He made some really cool hits that people still love today, like You Can Get It If You Really Want, Many Rivers to Cross, and I Can See Clearly Now. He also starred as the main character named Ivan in a super important movie called The Harder They Come. This movie and its music soundtrack helped introduce reggae to people everywhere. Over his long 60-year career in music, Jimmy Cliff won a Grammy Award, which is like a gold medal for musicians. He was also put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2010, and in 2003, he got Jamaica's highest honor for regular citizens called the Order of Merit. When he passed away, he was the only reggae musician still alive who had that special Order of Merit award. Today, on November 24, 2025, people in Jamaica and music fans all over the world are very sad about the passing of Jimmy Cliff at age 81. But we also want to remember and celebrate his amazing life and everything he did for music. Jimmy Cliff was born with the name James Chambers on July 30, 1944. He grew up in a country area called Summertown in St. James Parish, Jamaica. His family was pretty poor, and he was one of 9 kids. That's a lot of brothers and sisters. His dad worked as a tailor, which means he sewed and fixed clothes, and he also worked on farms. His mom worked cleaning houses and doing housework for other families. Sadly, his mother left the family soon after Jimmy was born. So young James and his older brother, Victor, were raised by their father without their mom around. The family had a special heritage. They were descendants of Maroons. Maroons were brave enslaved people who escaped and lived free in the mountains and forests of Jamaica's interior. Even though the family didn't have a radio or TV in their home, music was always a big part of their lives. Jimmy started writing his own songs when he was really young. By the time he was just 6 years old, he was already performing at church and at gatherings in his neighborhood. When he turned 13, he made a big decision. He quit regular school to follow his dream of making music. Around 1958 to 1960, when Jimmy was a teenager, his father brought him to Kingston, which is Jamaica's big capital city. His dad wanted him to continue his education there and also find work. In Kingston, Jimmy went to a technical school where he learned practical skills. But more importantly, he started diving deep into Jamaica's exciting and lively music scene. It was in Kingston, while he was still a teenager looking for someone to give him a recording contract, that James Chambers decided to change his name. He started calling himself Jimmy Cliff, and that's the stage name he used for his whole career. Jimmy Cliff's music career really started taking off in the early 1960s. Life wasn't easy, though. During the day, he worked all kinds of odd jobs in Kingston to make money. Then at night, he would hustle around the city, trying to get people to listen to his demo recordings and give him a chance. In 1962, when he was just 18 years old, he released his very first Jamaican hit single called Hurricane Hattie. This song went all the way to the top of the local music charts in Jamaica and made him famous on the island. He quickly followed up with more hit songs in Jamaica. He even got to represent his country Jamaica at the 1964 New York World's Fair, which was a huge honor. In 1965, Jimmy signed a recording contract with Island Records, which was a big deal. He moved all the way to London, England, looking for international success and hoping to become famous around the world. At first, Island Records tried to market him and sell his music to rock music audiences. But it was his reggae and ska recordings, the cool Jamaican music styles, that really connected with people and made them fall in love with his sound. By the late 1960s, Jimmy Cliff had become a global star. His 1969 single Wonderful World, Beautiful People broke into the music charts in the United Kingdom, climbing all the way to number 6. People loved it. He also earned tons of praise for writing protest songs that spoke out about important issues. One example was his song, Vietnam, from 1969. Bob Dylan, who was already a famous musician himself, said it was the best protest song he had ever heard. That's a pretty amazing compliment. During this time, Jimmy also released some really great albums like Hard Road to Travel in 1967. Jimmy Cliff's fame went even higher in 1972 when he starred in a classic Jamaican film called The Harder They Come. In the movie, he played a character named Ivan, a young man from the countryside who turns to crime while he's chasing his dream of becoming successful in music. The movie showed the tough realities of life in Jamaica. Jimmy performed several songs on the movie's soundtrack, including the title song, The Harder They Come, and you can get it if you really want. Both of these became huge hits all around the world. The film and its soundtrack were super important and pivotal, which means they changed everything. They introduced reggae music to wide international audiences, people everywhere who had never heard it before. Even today, the movie is still seen as a cornerstone of Jamaican culture. A cornerstone is like the most important piece of a building that holds everything else up. During this same time period, Jimmy also covered popular songs, which means he sang his own versions of songs other people had made famous. For example, he covered Cat Stevens's song Wild World, and his version made it into the UK Top 10 in 1970. He toured extensively all over the world, performing concerts for his fans. He released more hit songs like Many Rivers to Cross, Reggae Night, and Sitting in Limbo. His special style was blending reggae music with soul music and pop music together. In the late 1970s, Jimmy took a break or hiatus from making music. He traveled to Africa to explore his roots and learn about where his ancestors came from. During this trip, he converted to Islam, which is a religion. He took on the name El Hajj Naturi as part of his faith. This spiritual journey, his search for meaning in life, really influenced his 1978 album called Give Thanks. Later on, he talked about having a universal outlook on life, which means he was open to ideas from many different places. Eventually, he even described himself as believing in science. Jimmy Cliff came back to making music with renewed energy and excitement. In 1985, he won a Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album with his record called Cliffhanger. This was a huge achievement. He appeared on the famous TV show Saturday Night Live in 1976, and he acted in a Hollywood comedy movie called Club Paradise in 1986, where he starred alongside the famous funny actor Robin Williams. His song Trapped was really liked and championed by Bruce Springsteen, who was another huge rock star. The song was even featured on the super famous charity album We Are the World, which raised money to help hungry people in Africa. Over the decades, that means over many, many years, Jimmy Cliff kept recording new music and touring around the world to perform for his fans. His 2012 album, Rebirth, got critical acclaim, which means that music critics and experts said it was really, really good. In 2010, he became one of only 2 Jamaican artists ever inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Being inducted means being officially honored and accepted as one of the greatest musicians ever. The other Jamaican person in the Hall of Fame was Bob Marley, another reggae legend. Throughout his whole career, Jimmy Cliff received tons of honors and awards. In 1988, he was given the Order of Jamaica, and in 2003, he got Jamaica's Order of Merit, which is the nation's highest possible honor for people who contribute amazing things to arts and sciences. Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness called him a true cultural giant, whose music carried Jamaica's heart to the whole world by blending reggae with soul and rock music. Jimmy Cliff didn't just have a powerful voice that could really sing, he also had an uplifting message of hope, unity, and resilience. Resilience means being strong and bouncing back when times are tough. Jimmy Cliff was known as a family man and a thoughtful spiritual person. He was married to Latifah Chambers, who was a writer with Moroccan, French, and Jamaican heritage. Together, they had 2 children, a daughter named Lilty and a son named Akin. He was also the father to an older daughter named Nabia B. from a previous relationship. Nabia is an actress and singer. In interviews, Jimmy often said that his family was his #1 priority, even more important than his music career. That shows how much he loved them. Jimmy Cliff's religious and spiritual journey was eclectic, which means it was varied, and he explored many different beliefs. He was raised Christian as a child. Then when he was young, he briefly embraced the Rastafarian faith, which is a religion that started in Jamaica. Later, during the late 1970s, he converted to Islam, as we mentioned earlier. In his later years, he described himself as having a universal outlook on life, which means he was open to wisdom from all kinds of different religions and philosophies. He even joked that he now believed in science. He told the Guardian newspaper that his faith was personal and wasn't tied to any one formal religion. Throughout his whole life, Jimmy emphasized important principles like love, honesty, and perseverance, which means never giving up. These values really came through clearly in the lyrics of his songs. On November 24, 2025, Jimmy Cliff passed away at age 81. His death was confirmed by his wife Latifah through a public statement and a post on social media. According to what the family announced, Jimmy crossed over, which is another way of saying he died, because he had a seizure followed by pneumonia. A seizure is when your brain has abnormal electrical activity, and pneumonia is a serious infection in the lungs. Fans around the entire world, from reggae music listeners to Hollywood movie stars, mourned the loss, which means they felt very sad and grieved. Tributes poured in from everywhere. Jamaica's Prime Minister and countless musicians praised him and called him a cultural giant whose music lifted people up and helped them through hard times. Jimmy Cliff enjoyed a successful and financially stable lifestyle thanks to his long music career. Reports from the music industry estimate that his net worth was somewhere around $10 to $18 million at the time of his death. That's a lot of money. This wealth came from many sources: selling albums, touring and performing concerts, earning royalties, which is money you keep earning from songs you wrote or recorded, his work in films, and smart management of his songwriting rights. Since he won a Grammy and had songs that lasted for decades and decades as hits, he continued to earn significant royalties even in his later years. Jimmy Cliff's family mentioned that he made sure to secure his family's future through his music catalog. That means he made sure the rights to his songs would keep making money to take care of his loved ones even after he was gone. If you enjoyed this tribute to Jimmy Cliff, please like this video, share it with other fans, and subscribe for more content about music history. Leave a comment down below telling us your favorite Jimmy Cliff song or a special memory you have of his music. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's keep celebrating the music of this reggae legend together.